What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you, sir. Thank you. What's going on this week in White Supremacy? We are here. We are actually recording earlier than normal. This is Friday. Obviously, we wanted to respond to current events, one, but also two, you know, our brother is celebrating his birthday. He's about to go do his thing. Yeah, give it back up for Farouk celebrating his birthday. So he's going to be doing some things. My name is Jasiri X. I am co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. And across the table from me is...
It's a miracle.
This is Miracles. They asked me to come in on a day that I normally don't come in.
This is me too. My office is on.
Anyways, it's your girl Miracle, aka Big Blessing with the big blessings. Gonna be just, you know,
we're gonna be
kind.
We want your analysis of the current political landscape, Miracle, which is why our many watchers follow your guidance. And my brother.
Hi, I'm 4 days away from my birthday, so I am smiling, alive, and infinitely demure.
And that's dope. I like that. And you're representing Roberto Clemente.
I am.
You know what I'm saying? Roberto Clemente Day, September 15th in the city. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to him. Yeah.
His Clemente Day is 15th September. My birthday is 16th September.
Look at God.
Look at God, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. So my birthday is coming up. So if anybody wants to send me well wishes or hate, I would actually appreciate the hate just as much as I would the well wishes.
And he definitely does.
Yeah, I love it. I love reading hate comments.
I mean, and again, like right now, well, if you love reading hate comments, Farouk, you're in the right hour.
I can. I only read. Like I don't go to the comments to read things, but when people send me hate comments, I get like overjoyed.
We did have a good time. Remember we were live and somebody was talking about we ain't get no hoes and I mean it was somebody jumped in.
That was great. Stop saying who don't got no bitches
and just had a ball. So we did, but there has been a lot of hate comments. Obviously, the biggest news that recently happened was Charlie Kirk, who was a right-wing commentator, was doing a college tour. He was at Utah State. He was shot and killed. It was on videotape. I didn't intend to watch it. I don't know. I was scrolling and there it was. And it was like, man, you know, it was really horrible to watch and horrific to watch as somebody lose their life in that manner. And then there was all of this conversation afterwards, right? Because you know, Charlie Kirk was somebody who was on the record as saying that he did not believe in any type of Second Amendment, any type of gun regulation and gun control. He actually said that like the lives lost to gun violence was worth America having the Second Amendment, right? That was something that kind of went viral. And, you know, not unironically, but as American as it could be, there was also a school shooting at the same time, almost
in Colorado,
almost right away in Colorado. So there was this conversation because Charlie Kirk was also on the record as talking about he didn't even like the word empathy. And he was somebody in his own commentary that did not show empathy, particularly for Black and brown communities. And so when it seemed like there was this like really heavy-handed push for folks had to mourn him in a particular way, there was a lot of pushback online. First of all, the internet's going internet. I don't care who it is. I don't care who passes away, who it is, how revered. The internet's going internet, and the internet's going to come with jokes. And a lot of times it's through those jokes. Sometimes it's how we get through the difficulty of some of those situations. You know what I'm saying? So the internet going to internet, no matter who it is, it's going to be jokes. You know what I'm saying? But in the other case, it seemed like there was this push to like make people mourn. So we want to get into that, but we do have breaking news because the man who killed Charlie Kirk was
apprehended.
He was apprehended.
No, he was not apprehended.
He wasn't.
Oh no, his father
was not apprehended.
Right, he wasn't. It wasn't. And there's a whole question. Miracle. There was a question around because the FBI under Kash Patel just fired maybe like a couple months ago the head of the Salt Lake City FBI chapter, who was supposedly somebody that was very high regarded. So the FBI, I think that's a great point that you make. The FBI did not find and capture this person. His father turned him in.
Oh,
So
damn! His dad snitched on him.
His dad saw it.
Crazy.
His dad turned him in. He is a 22-year-old white man named Tyler Robinson. Is it Tyler or Taylor?
I don't know. Why are you asking me?
Which one? It's
Tyler.
Yeah, right. And Tyler Robinson was not a trans person, not a brown or black person, but somebody that was a far right, I guess, a extreme far right, according to what the internet is saying now. You know what I'm saying? Because according to what people are saying that.
So before you even get into this,
Yes.
let's just be reductive but honest.
Yes.
This is white on white crime.
100%.
This is white on white violence.
White on white crime in one of the whitest states
Yes.
in America, right? You're talking
Absolutely.
about Utah, right?
Yes.
And this was a white man.
They don't even have Dr. Peppers. They ain't got no caffeine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nothing.
Utah it's a sprinkle of black. You got some Samoan people sprinkled in there.
And you have the Utah Jazz,
Yes, absolutely, right.
who was just there doing basketball season.
Just there,
That's
right?
it.
Definitely, and probably after the game, they probably go to California
Something.
to go do something. Because what is there to do in Utah? And again, if we have people watching from Utah, this is no a shade or hate to you.
No, you know where you live.
But, this is a tweet that says, turns out that Tyler Robinson is a straight white guy from a conservative family. He was raised conservative. He was raised Christian. He was brought up with guns.
So essentially,
and all
he
that.
fits the FBI profile of a shooter.
Exactly. So,
Oh, wow. I am
right.
Farouk's sense of astonishment.
So it was kind of wild that there was, like, all of these HBCUs had to go on lockdown yesterday because what the hell do we have to do that? But before we get into that, I guess first, just your general reactions when this came on, this happened, and this is one of those events that kind of dominates the internet, dominates things. I know One Hood Power put out a statement, and one thing we always talk about on this show, and particularly Miracle. Miracle has been the person on the show. I mean, Miracle on this show is Miracle Luther King, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? Because Miracle is somebody that consistently talks about a world without violence, a world without borders, a world, and all Miracle wants is high-speed rail and peace.
Please.
That's it. You know what I'm saying? So again, like,
And she wants to dip her French fries in her milkshake.
and right, she wants to get
that's all she wants.
her Arby's curly fries and her Wendy's Frosty and just leave her alone.
And you know what?
As she happily rides the high-speed rail to the next place that she's going to go on vacation.
You know what? I'm okay with Miracle's Utopia.
1,000%.
Thank you.
But again, like, because there was this conversation about people condemning violence, violence happening in the world. One thing about Miracle, she's been consistent in condemning violence anywhere, everywhere. And so when you saw this happen, and a lot of we all, the same thing, right? The same thing that when somebody shot at Trump, when somebody tried to burn down the governor's mansion, we condemn political violence. What was your first reaction and response, Miracle?
Okay, so setting the stage, I am at City County building here in Pittsburgh, advocating for inclusionary zoning, which is basically this measure to make sure that we have affordable housing here in Pittsburgh. And as we're in this marathon hearing, the alert goes out that he got shot. So I'm literally trying to fight gentrification and displacement and violence of ethnic cleansing of Black people outside of Pittsburgh when I see that this goes through. And at first you're like, oh, maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's not real, right? Just because you know how the internet works, there's AI, you don't know what if you see is real or not. Then it happens. And within like 45 minutes of this shooting, it was, oh, we need to go to war with the left. Oh, it was a trans shooter.
Right,
then it was like, oh, his last words were gang violence, right? And you're like, what are you talking about? So then it's like, oh, he died making a joke about like Black people.
Right.
So like what empathy are we required to have for someone who doesn't care? So that was percolating.
Right. Well, let me just put that into context. He was actually asked about school shootings.
How many mass shooters were there? And he said
How many
including
mass
gang
shooters?
violence.
And he said include. So at the time where somebody's asking him about a mass shooting, then a shooting takes place. After, again, he says gang violence. which, you know, we would interpret as like a shot or slight to black people, brown folks in our communities. But please continue.
And so I was like, oh my gosh. And then you go through all of this, like, okay, everybody's freaking out. Everybody gets on these calls where you have to like cancel all public facing events. Is this going to be a copycat? So you have to like deal with all like just the regular, everyday things. But like for me, the first time I got a death threat, I was like in middle school.
Wow.
So like I am slightly desensitized to death and violence. And I do think that being black, we are just so, like I think about like Offset, like his video, not Offset, like Takeoff when he was murdered. I think about, we are just so used to seeing black people be murdered on camera that like watching white people have to deal with that for the first time was a little bit, that was what was shocking to me. It was like, oh, you've never had to really deal with this before. Like we've dealt with like Martin Luther King. We've dealt with, you know, Medgar Evers. We have dealt with
civil rights footage. We have the footage of Emmett Till. We have a lot of these graphic instances that have occurred that are now catalysts.
I've sat next to Ed when he's gotten a death threat. I've sat next to a lot of our black
that's our mayor, by the way.
When they've gotten death threats.
And then think about like, you know, from Oscar Grant. I think Oscar Grant was the first one I remember seeing
on camera,
where it was like I'm watching a death on camera, and then we started to see, and we watched Eric Gardner die very violently. We watched, you know, all of these other black people die up until George Floyd, where we watched for 8 minutes as he was literally choked to death. And you know, George Floyd was somebody that Charlie Kirk had no empathy or compassion for him or his family. And so again, like it is from our perspective, and then that's not even to mention for the last 2 years, we've been watching some of the most graphic footage I've ever seen in my life come out of what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Gaza. And so again, like I do think it makes you wonder, like, oh, your algorithm must be very different from mine because I've been seeing a lot more violent imagery. So that is a question.
No, and I think that it's not that the algorithm is different; it's that the skin color is different. Ooh. And the reason I say that is a lot of times we are conditioned to believe that certain communities are deserving of violence.
Yes.
Like violence is just their norm. Oh, True. They're black, they're violent. Or they're Muslim, they're violent. Oh, they're poor, they're violent, right? We expect violence to happen in the quote inner cities of Chicago and Baltimore. What we are saying is we don't expect for white people to be shot at political rallies. We don't expect for Republicans to be shot at political rallies. And that is why we're upset, because the guy who was killing people in Minnesota, right? Who was shooting, who was just going door to door and killing people in Minnesota, that wasn't the outrage. That was just a blip in the news media, right? But a conservative, a Republican being shot, a white man who is embracing this masculine identity that all of MAGA is like wrapping themselves in, that to them was like, wait.
Right.
That was shocking.
And the people you mentioned as Democratic State Rep Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed. It says along with their dog. And then State Senator John Hoffman and his wife were shot and wounded and survived. And so, you know, people are talking about this again, as Republicans are saying, we're at war and there needs to be some type of strike back, that this just happened 3 months ago. Trump didn't even show up to the funeral, didn't even call anybody in Minnesota, didn't call the governor of Minnesota, really didn't condemn it to the level that people felt it was. But now that it's like somebody that's on your side or shares your political ideology, now all the flags are at half mast. Now we want to have all these like moments of silence and all this and that. So that's when people were saying, well, wait a second, like if you're saying that a Charlie Kirk's killing is on the Democrats, as a lot of Republicans were parroting, well then were those killings on Donald Trump?
as a black person, I don't even possess the mental processing ability, by his words,
Right.
to conceptualize such a grandiose topic of political violence.
But he was somebody that was on record as over and over again as black people died, including George Floyd.
Yeah, he
called George Floyd a scumbag. So he was also somebody that, again, in his own words, he did not believe in empathy. So then why are you demanding empathy from us?
But here's the thing that really sent me
because whiteness demands that we see it as human, no matter how
superiority,
evil and violent
right.
it is. Not even superior, as human,
right?
Because when you think about,
but
everybody's talking about Charlie, like, oh, he was a free speech, or he just did political differences. It sanitizes its violence.
It does,
right? The most violent act that a white person can do will always be defended by the mainstream media in some type of way and some type of argument, and then it will come and for you when you decide that you are going to say, hey, this person was violent in death.
Right. And to that point, much to that point, this was my logging off moment, and with the reluctant appearance about this show was the moment I decided I'm no longer entertaining anything that has to do with this human being. Was that when I seen people mentioning him and Martin Luther King in the same breath.
No, you didn't.
Yes.
They were, the white people were saying, this is white people's Martin Luther King, and what's infuriating is
because he was shot.
Oh, just because he was shot.
Well, they're saying they died under the same purpose. That's the talking point online with these alt-right people, is that he was their Martin Luther King.
At the point, they thought he was murdered by a Democrat, right? They thought he was murdered by a left progressive. And they were like, he is our white Martin Luther King because he was non-violent, right? So Ezra Klein talking about, oh, he did politics the white way. He was this non-violent,
he was
provocateur. Correct. That's the
point. He was like,
that
the thing is that
this is the irony. The irony is, one of the black people that Charlie Kirk attacked over and over again was Martin Luther King.
Oh, just about that was the thing. He hated Martin Luther King, and this is let me just say this. You and I both can appreciate this. My father was part of the civil rights movement, so when I seen something like that, I have an older father who was present to watch King die and be a part of that. To equate this person with someone who had an vision of a better world,
right?
A world of true harmony and inclusivity, in a world where he sacrificed his life and his work, his family, for the progression of all people.
Right.
Regardless, I mean, you've heard the speeches, you've heard the whitewash version of Martin Luther King. You don't know how radical he actually was.
Yes.
In a lot of his principles. To sanitize, demean, whitewash, and tarnish his legacy by putting the two of them in the same sentence, while this person repeatedly bashed Martin Luther King by saying he was a terrible person and he was a moron, all these other things that he's thrown at this great man,
right, who
has done so much for us.
In fact, I mean, you could argue that Charlie Kirk was the exact opposite of Martin
He was
Luther
the
King,
antithesis of Martin Luther King.
because he was somebody that anything that was black and brown, anything that didn't fit inside of white supremacist code, he rejected.
Not only did he attacked, like you know, there's so many clips of him saying, if I get on a plane and I see a black pilot,
right,
I'm scared.
Right.
If I talk to a black customer service rep, she's there because of affirmative action.
Correct. He
questioned Ketanji Brown, and he questioned every one of our black women scholars.
Right. Yes.
And just implied that they don't have intelligence.
Right. Right. The only similarity between Charlie Kirk and Martin Luther King is that they both were killed by white supremacists.
That's the only similarity.
That's the only similarity.
That's a great, yeah.
So
go ahead.
Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, all of these far right influencers,
right?
What they did was they weaponized academia to hurt people directly to their faces, right?
Yeah.
They realized that they couldn't just stand outside and just yell slurs at people. So what this whole debate me bro thing was literally harassing and targeting people.
Absolutely.
So that you were forced to encounter them, forced to have dialogue with them, so they could say the most racist, inhumane things to your face, and then when you got upset, they could be like, "Oh, see, you're being emotional. See, you're being illogical."
Right.
That was their whole grift. So that's how they became famous, right? And so there was violence. They were going out there and targeting trans people and black people.
Absolutely.
They were telling students that their professors who are black, queer, and trans were not good enough, were not smart enough, and so, to harass them, to
gaslighting people, saying that racial attacks never happened to them.
All of these things, right? So they weren't just like these, just people debating. Number one,
but also too, just because hold your two, it also created this environment where it was like, oh, they're just the other side of the debate. No, like one side is talking about like you said, peace, love, unity. Like how can we progress in a world where we all can live together as one? And the other side is coming with just vile white supremacist positions. And then it was like the Overton window gets moved, and now these white supremacist positions are platformed and seen as just, oh, they just had a difference of opinion. So even of his death, there's this idea of, oh, I just had a difference of opinion with Charlie Kirk. Not that, no, Charlie Kirk used his platform to weaponize and to encourage disrespect and violence on all these communities that were not white, specifically black, brown, and Palestinian people.
And it serves a purpose to make the universe more conservative. So, for instance, if I'm a leftist and I'm like, people only need to work four days a week, and you're like, no, we need to go back to slavery, what ends up happening is we start debating,
right?
And then to settle our debate, say, oh, now you only have to work 7 days a week, and you get 2 hours off every 30 days, right? So it moves the debate so far to the right that even the most moderate right position then becomes so left wing, because you're like comparing it to the worst thing imaginable. That part.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Charlie Kirk's death served a broader purpose to antagonize black people, queer people, and trans people.
Right.
And I think that is where we really need to be focusing a lot of our attention.
Right.
Because when he died, before his body even was cold, you had people calling for war and for vengeance.
Right.
People saying to destroy schools and universities.
Right.
And then you had all these HBCUs get bomb threats. You had all these black people, even here in Pittsburgh, become targeted, right?
Right.
It was just any example to basically have this civil war that people really want, because like I said, this whole ICE thing, this whole genocide in Palestine, it has been to program people to violence because they want to kill black people. Right now we have not given them an excuse to kill black people. The man in Charlotte, he kills this woman, what happens? He immediately gets arrested, right? There's no reason to go out and protest because he is immediately arrested.
And why, again, and this is this fascinating thing that exists in American culture, right? Is because why, when this black person does this, I'm to blame? Like, why is it when a black person does something, or when a brown person does something, or when a Muslim does something, all Muslims and black and brown people are condemned for the act that we had nothing to do with it? But then is whiteness going to reckon with itself now that it was Tyler Robinson that killed Charlie Kirk, right? Why is that never a conversation when a white person does something? And this idea that, to me, that is really interesting. I did want to share this before I go to you. This was Chaos Cherub that put this on Blue Sky. She says, racism is really illogical because how are you threatening HBCUs? Because a white man shot another white man at a white rally at a white university in what has got to be one of the top 5 whitest states in the country. Black people couldn't be further from this if we actually tried.
Absolutely.
Fruit.
I put up on social media last night that, and is a paraphrasing of a James Baldwin quote, and you use this a lot, Jasiri. My existence as a black person is political, so if our politics do not align, then no, we cannot be friends. This isn't one of them situations where we're looking at someone who had a differencing of opinion of black people. This is someone who at every corner and every chance had the opportunity to dehumanize black and brown people.
Absolutely.
There was a forum where he was at where he was spouting the C word at an Asian person, saying that
Yes.
I participate in capitalism, you blank. Right. That's as close to violence you can get without a physical altercation.
Absolutely.
By using a slur as invective at somebody, right? And the specific instance where this murdering happened in Charlotte of this man who killed this Ukrainian girl.
Right.
It was like, oh, look at this. Look at these black people rummaging through her belongings after she was killed while they were trying to offer her first aid. They were taking photos of her ID to try to get in contact with her family. They were doing what they could to save this Ukrainian woman.
Right.
And just that you automatically reduce black people to these looting and meandering thieves. Right. Is more evidence of white supremacist dialogue permeating through the echo chamber. And I'm tired of white men with white guns, with white agendas, white supremacist rhetoric, white angles, white existences, using their whiteness to blame black people for their own problems.
Right.
In every city right now, crime is down. But what's happening? White children are being murdered in white schools by white shooters. A white supremacist was murdered by another white supremacist in a white state at a white rally at a white university.
Right.
Black people have nothing to do with any of this. This is not our fight.
Right. But again, it's like, but we're being, speaking of both those instances, there was an event, there was a letter sent to NYU yesterday. And basically in the letter, and let me, I just want to pull this letter up because I
ain't know nothing about this letter.
It's so
right. This is what it says. It says, and again, I'm reading from this letter that was sent to NYU. I'm going to shoot every nigger I see at NYU.
Jesus Christ.
In the short amount of time before niggers defending pigs come to kill me, I'm coming for only niggers. Again, what are we're over here trying to survive America like we always have, right? And this is the thing, like when people witness police violence, when people witness what happened to George Floyd, people protested against the police as a whole.
Right.
People didn't rise up and do anything to white people in general. In fact, many of the protesters were white. And then when you found out who really was burning stuff down, we found out that those were white protesters.
Not just white protesters, they were infiltrators and police officers.
Right-wing infiltrators that were doing that. So again, oftentimes, like to make it seem like we're here. Like our ancestors came to this shores because of white violence.
Come on.
That's why we're here. We're here because of white violence, right? That's why we're here. That's why the indigenous community of this country looks the way it looks, because of white violence. So to try to turn it around and make it seem like we're violent, this is the words, and we're not going to play it, but these are the words from the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox. Listen to these words. Spencer Cox said...
Who is Spencer Cox?
The governor of Utah.
Oh, okay.
For the last 33 hours, I have been praying that this person who murdered Charlie Kirk was from another country.
Wow.
That he was not one of us, because we are not like that, but it was one of us. You've always been like that.
Come on,
You
man.
have always been the most violent, the most predatory. To act like you're not like that, that's what you are. What are you talking about?
You can't have...
But again, do you have a history book? But when you throw out and burn all the history books and get rid of all the history...
And you can't have a concept like manifest destiny without violence. You can't have the concept of coming to America as this is your land, taking it from the people who are here without violence. You cannot conceptualize America without violence.
100%. Do you know the history of Utah? Do you know the history of Brigham Young?
Come on, man.
Do you know what they did to establish Utah? They went to war. They went to war
with America.
With America. And of course, they wiped out much of the native population that was in the actual Utes. What are we talking about?
What
are we talking about? And so that's where it becomes. And now, again, when you see white men, I guess this was in California, marching, saying white men fight back against who?
Against whom? Yourselves?
Fight back against other white men. We don't have nothing to do with this. Trans people didn't have nothing to do with this. Queer people didn't have nothing to do with this. Black people, indigenous people didn't have anything to do with this. I mean, so what are you talking about?
And it's just like, you hoped that it was an immigrant.
Right.
You hoped it was a Muslim. You hoped it was a black. You
Yes.
hoped it was a transplant.
Yes.
So that way, all of that anger and hate and
Can go-
rage.
yep, you have an outlet.
You
A
would
justifiable
have a
outlet.
justifiable outlet to kill people. So Rosewood.
Right.
So Greenwood.
Come on, yep.
So you wanted to have another race riot. You wanted to have an other. And this is what I keep trying to tell people. White people work in collective
Yes.
all the time to sit there and say, I don't care who it is. As long as it's somebody else, they are deserving of our rage and violence.
Right.
I wonder if they're gonna try to say Tyler Robinson had black friends. He listened to black
Hey,
music.
bro, he was
they're
in
gonna try to
Utah.
put this on.
Where? How?
They tried to first say he was radicalized at university, and they're like, it's Utah State, not
Yeah,
left
right.
wing.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Now what is coming out is that there are two, under the MAGA umbrella, there is like two extremist far-right movements. One was headed by like the Charlie Kirk. The other was headed by like Nick Fuentes.
Right.
Under like white supremacy. And they were battling with each other because they see each other as not as pure. Right? Not as white, not as hating,
I'm like,
right?
yo, bro, your last
So,
name is Fuentes. Like, your surname is
Charlie
Fuentes.
Kirk,
What are you talking about?
I think, remember, people forget, like, after World War II.
Yeah, they all went to Argentina. Yeah.
But listen to this, Miracle. Well, again, I didn't want to cut off that because again, that is, and hey, let me say this.
We're always caught in the crosshairs.
Hey, if y'all MAGA folks want to fight it out, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Leave
if y'all
us the
want
fuck
to,
out of it,
I don't have nothing to do. I don't know where these black MAGAs line up. I ain't one of them.
Black, yo, you know what, man?
I ain't one of them.
Can I say something about this?
Yes.
That's when you gotta put your hat up. You're like, you know what, y'all, I'm gonna see myself out.
100%.
That's what
Man,
Now is the time.
they don't have a choice, though. But they don't have a choice.
Because, one thing, right? Because people have been, a guy from MSNBC got fired.
He got fired.
A reporter that was doing sports in Phoenix got fired for simply saying, this is the type. This is what Charlie Kirk did when he was alive.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of people, to be honest, bro, we live in this political world. A lot of people saw the video and just said, rest in peace to that man, and saw that he had a family and just said, rest in peace to that man. They did not know. And I've watched people go from saying, RIP to that man, we don't want to see, because that's our nature. Our nature,
Black people is
we don't
forgiving
want to
people.
see nobody shot
Black
down
people
and killed.
is forgiving people,
right.
man.
So, and then people were saying, oh, I did not know that this was the type of rhetoric, because everybody's not in that political world and didn't know
I'm
how violent
I'm not
Charlie
talking
Kirk was
about
towards
them
us.
people.
Yeah.
Right? Because I would presume rather that if you, like you said, if you're not in this political sphere,
Right.
you probably don't know who Charlie Kirk
Probably don't know
is.
who he is,
You,
yeah.
you probably don't, right?
Right.
You just seen, like a graphic image.
And we talked about it last week's episode. Last week's episode I thought was really, really good in terms of our analysis. Like, we wasn't cracking a lot of jokes last week, but our analysis was really, really on point. And we talked about what we see as this plan of this takeover, right? Where you see federal troops in these cities, right? And this violence. And so this idea now that, like, oh, all of these left-wing organizations, quote unquote, have to be shut down because they're producing violence, right? And so, Mehdi Hassan is somebody who is an independent journalist who has been, producing facts. He's a debater. And if you debate with this man, you better be on point because he comes with his facts.
Allah bless him with a patience that I do not have.
But he sent this, he said, it was talking about, like, quote unquote, the left wing violence. He was like, here are the actual facts. A man targeted and killed Democratic state lawmaker Melissa Horton and her husband in Minnesota in June was a Trump supporter. The man who attempted assassination of Pennsylvania's Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro was a Trump supporter. The man convicted of orchestrated a series of shootings at the homes of 4 Democratic elected officials in Mexico in 2022 was a Trump supporter. The man who tried to kidnap Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and assault her husband Paul was a Trump supporter. And they made fun of that and there was no remorse for that man.
None whatsoever.
The men who wanted to hang Mike Pence January 6, 2021 was Trump supporters. There was somebody who was like, Trump supporters don't riot. What? Did y'all forget? January 6th?
Come on.
Again, all in 4K. A man who killed the son of Obama-appointed District Judge Esther Sellers in 2020 was a Trump supporter. The men who were convicted of trying to kidnap Michigan's Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer were Trump supporters. The men who sent pipe bombs to the homes of Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton were Trump supporters. The man who killed left-wing activist Heather Heyer after driving his car into a crowd of counter-protesters in Charlotte was a Trump supporter. What are we talking about? This was from Matt Walsh, another right-wing influencer. This is what he put out on September 3rd. Quote, Brandon Johnson, talking about the mayor of Chicago, should be arrested, charged with treason, convicted, and then given the requisite punishment for a capital offense. This is a right-wing influencer calling for the mayor of Chicago because he does not want the National Guard to come into his city to be executed. This was January 3rd. So this idea that like only the left side and only the Democrats are the violent ones and they're causing, I mean, again, we can read, we see this right in our face.
This is where we have been relegated to
in
this stance to where we don't really have any other option but to call out the obvious. And despite all of the actual facts, because that's what we deal with here. Yeah. We deal with actual facts. Right. Their narrative will always be spun to represent and indicate the opposite. Right. Falsehood is what perpetuates and propels this white supremacist narrative. And that is the more palatable one. Right. It doesn't matter if it's on MSNBC or Fox or CNN or News One, whatever that thing is called, the right-wing news channel, whatever they call it. They all go into this, look at these evil black and brown people. Look what they're doing to our country. Yes. And this is really your litmus test now for white supremacy on will whiteness outdo whiteness? Right. Or will we see some type of conversation around real justice and equity? But that's what I'm interested about.
100%. But it's also, to me, crazy to, again, like to demand for people to be respectful and to be demure and to be like quiet, right? In the face of Charlie Kirk's death, when he was none of that in the face of the deaths of so many others. And so again, this is also how white supremacy works, right? Oh, so if you're white, right, you have the ability and you're able to then be critical. You know, you can call George Floyd a scumbag. You can denounce all of these people in the face of school shootings or police shootings or killings, and it's okay for you to have no empathy, right? But then for me, and face, not only did Charlie Kirk not face consequences for his rhetoric, he was paid handsomely.
I'm about to say he was rewarded
for his rhetoric. I saw a video that said his net worth was $12 million. I don't know, but he was rewarded handsomely for that rhetoric. And so now, if I say, "Wait a second, this is somebody who through his life attacked me, attacked other communities that I love, attacked people that I love," now I can lose my livelihood, right? Not gain traction, not gain. That's what is so crazy in this moment. And again, it just shows how vulnerable oftentimes our communities are. And so to me, in this moment, we really have to think about, obviously, you know, one of the things that just personally, I was happy we didn't have an event this weekend. Yeah. You know, I was happy that all our events took place prior to this, because if we had an event this weekend, we would then have to put our vest on. We would have to take all this heavy precaution. I know, Miracle, a vest would not have saved Charlie Kirk. We know that, right? But I'm just saying, we would have had to have all of this security. And why? Even though we had nothing to do with this. Absolutely nothing. For some reason, people want to take out their anger and frustration on us, because in this country, it's always been about dominating, controlling, disrespecting, and killing the people among us, the least among us, the poor. Remember, and this is the thing, right? This is the last thing I'll say. You know, for people that loved and admired Charlie Kirk, that are mad in this moment, right? Now imagine, okay, you know, he was killed. And again, black and brown people, we know about a video being on loop of black people dying or people that you try to avoid. And I tried to avoid his death. It was just all in all the feeds, right? You try to avoid it and how traumatizing that is. But imagine this. Imagine if a community began to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for Tyler Robinson's defense. Imagine if a community came out and said what Tyler Robinson did was not, I'm not saying we're saying this, let me just say for the record. But imagine if a community came out and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for his defense. Right? Imagine if then Tyler Robinson walked free and then went on a speaking circuit and got hundreds of thousands of dollars on that circuit.
Which
and then
he very well may be able to.
Wait, and then imagine, he's going under the jail. And then imagine if he then sold that gun. See, this is what happens when you kill black and brown people in America, right? Kyle Rittenhouse was on video shooting and killing people, right? With an illegal gun.
George Zimmerman.
Right? Imagine if you seen Tyler Robinson in court and he's hugged up with the judge and taking pictures with the judge and having lunch with the judge, and then he gets off, right? So we know that community is not going to experience that, right? We know Tyler Robinson is going to be locked away if he makes it to trial, and it's probably going to be under the jail, right? But the killers of black and brown people get lionized, get made into heroes, get let go, and get all of these added things for them. So just again, so even in the midst of that, you still are not going to experience what black and brown people experience every day, what Palestinian people experience every day. You're still not going to reach those levels, even in this a temporary moment of pain.
I find myself at this point just an embodiment, a walking encyclopedia of Malcolm X quotes.
Yes.
Because that's really like all I've had on repeat.
Right, yeah.
Is chickens coming home to roost.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where has the white man gone on this planet that can say he's brought peace and harmony? Right?
Exactly.
Seriously, I am just regurgitating Reverend Malcolm's quotes at this point because they ring so true. What, 80 years later?
Right.
And 70 years later?
And just to say to you, Farouk, that's not a radical take.
It's not.
That is analyzing the data, analyzing this, and Miracle talked about it earlier, analyzing this atmosphere that you create. When you speak and when you do all these things, you create an atmosphere, right? And again, these are the same people that when black rappers get killed is, oh, you shouldn't have been rapping like that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have been making that type of music. Well, if you say to the black rapper when they're killed, they shouldn't have been rapping all that violence, then you can't then turn around. And if I say the same thing about Charlie Kirk, I'm somehow canceled or I've somehow got to shut up.
You can't, yeah, exactly. Like this person.
Come on, man.
Said that a few gun deaths a year are worth the defense.
That's what he said.
Of the God-given rights, such as the Second Amendment.
He said it. Again, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and so to me, to then
you put that out there, bro. Like that's literally coming back at you.
You put that out there,
literally.
Right? So then, so that's what I'm saying. So then, why should I be punished if I say, "Hey, this is what this man said," or if I say, "Hey, he was somebody," if I accurately describe him as a white supremacist, why should I be punished, right? But the reason why is because, and Miracle talked about it, that shifting of that window.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what Trump has been doing is moving that window. Now we got federal police all on the streets, and they've been in Pittsburgh heavy, right? They're in, immigration is in Chicago, immigration is in Baltimore, all of these. And so now you're used to not just police, but then federal police, and you get used to this era of violence. You get used to it. So we gotta, for real, like for us, I mean, if you not organizing now, and again, like one thing, the sad reality is, one thing that black and brown people, we're used to violence and surviving because of how many of us were forced to grow up.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't like about this week. It's like not everybody wants to go to the gun range. Not everybody wants to get bulletproof this, bulletproof that.
Yeah.
Like I am not meant for revolution, okay? I am not meant to be on the front lines. And it's just like this idea that every time we leave our house, we have to have a safety plan.
Right.
And I know we talked this before. Like every time you leave your house, in the back of your mind, you have to like steel yourself to the idea that this may be the last time you leave your house. Right.
True.
That's also why I try to make sure I clean my house, and my house is like in a nice.
Oh, you don't want them coming.
Right. I don't want them like, oh, this is how she lived, right?
Damn,
but
Wendy's fries all over.
Like, listen, be like she really did have some snacks up here.
What if we did get a sponsorship from Wendy's after this episode?
or Arby's. Arby's.
Listen,
yeah. We have the meats.
Holla at me. But it's just one of those things where I do think about like the world that we are living in, and like how do we actually turn to something different?
Right.
Because how much bloodshed is going to be enough? Because if we're just so used to it, and it's like we've never had an actual war happen on the U.S. soil.
Right.
We've had like, these cold wars, like these battle here, a battle there. But in our lifetime, we really haven't. And is that what it's going to take? We have all this military weapons that are police. We thought it was just police. Now we see all these policing agencies, and now all these groups have. Everyone has these weapons. Right. Everyone's now at these gun ranges. Like, at what point did we say, you know what? And this is too much. We should just go to brunch. Right. You know, like,
I mean, that would be great. But I think too, also now that we saw the shooter is another right-wing white male. Now, do you then? I mean, again, now is the target going to be off of us? You know, they put something out there where they said, if they find any information or anything of you online making fun of Charlie Kirk and you are not a U.S. citizen, they're going to take your visa away and kick you out of the country.
That's
again,
ridiculous.
This is the very...
He's not deserving of that.
But I'm just saying, if you're telling me that Charlie Kirk died because he was a free speech enthusiast and he died trying to protect free speech, then to do that would actually go against what you said the man was fighting for and what you said he was about. If you say that this is what he's about, then why would you do that? But again, we know what this really isn't. We know this isn't really about Charlie Kirk, and we know what this is about. We know this is about the militarization and this totalitarian regime coming in. And it was wild to see it happened the day before September 11th. And then to think about September 11th. And again, remember, in the wake of September 11th, it was all a bunch of patriotism and all they hate us because our freedom. And then when we found out, like when it was unraveled and people found out, and then when we saw all of the Islamophobia and all the hate that kind of came out of that against people, many people that weren't even Muslims. Yeah.
We have to constantly highlight that the first person killed in the wake of the 9/11 protest was a Sikh cab driver.
Right. And so again, like that was, and then to see Trump there looking not good. You know, and many
they
people
said he had a stroke or something, right?
Right. Many people look at the way his mouth was shaped,
right,
as like, does he have a stroke? And for people that have had strokes or had severe brain capacity, a lot of times they get more angry, right? They get more, They get more.
Their cognitive ability dissipates.
Right, and they do things that are not are in their right mind, or things that they might not have done before, right? And we're seeing that radicalization, and not only that, and so again, like, is there somebody there that, because there was some right wing pastor that came out and said the word from Trump is the word of God.
Yeah. I pre that. The guy or the girl, his spiritual advisor, or
the woman, yes.
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole chapter of the Bible, a whole chapter, about false idols and describing partnership to God.
Whole chapter.
What happened when Moses went on the mountain and left Aaron in charge.
Whole chapter.
And they brought a golden calf.
Yes.
And God threw a lightning bolt at the mountain and struck it down and said, behold my awesomeness.
That'd be another thing, brother, because ain't y'all Christian? Like, okay, if you a Christian.
What part of the Bible are you reading? Right.
But then why is your response, we got to go fight and be violent?
Yeah.
If you're a Christian, wouldn't your response be, like, is Jesus going to go out and start killing somebody because he lost one of his friends? I mean, shouldn't your response be, like our response has been, let's create a better world. Let's work to make a more peaceful world. Again, we and shout out to both you, Farouk and Miracle, went down to City Council and spoke about the work One Hood does. And we got support to continue our efforts in the city of Pittsburgh, because we do stop the violence efforts in the city of Pittsburgh. We are an
Not
organization.
only do we stop the violence efforts, we stop the violence.
Exactly. We're an organization that's actively working to make our communities and Pittsburgh as a whole a safer place. That's what we're doing. And so again, if shouldn't the response be, hey, maybe, I don't know, it sounds crazy or radical, maybe everybody shouldn't be able to just go to the store and get a rifle and then walk on to a university campus. Maybe there should be some measures in place to determine who gets a rifle and who gets in and who gets checked and all of these different things, right? Maybe we should pass some laws,
Right,
and do some gun reform that would make it to where even if you don't agree with the person's rhetoric, they don't get shot down for it. But if the person who gets shot down for it spent a majority of his time on the mic fighting to prevent any type of reforms happening in the face of mass shootings, and then that person gets shot, if I point that out, it shouldn't be some type of purity test for me when I'm pointing out something that actually happened or an actual fact. Yeah. Do we have a book? Do we have a white pages?
I mean, you know what? I would urge people to read, honestly, no funny. I would urge people to read the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley.
Right.
That would be my white pages for today.
Absolutely.
Because you will get so much out of that.
Absolutely. And again, another person that was, assassinated
by violence.
You know what I'm saying?
By infiltrators.
Right. So I'm just saying, so the autobiography of Malcolm X would be good. So again, but something, it will be interesting to see if it's weird when you have a environment where we talk about like no political violence, but then the rhetoric is escalated.
Yeah. Oh,
and we know the escalation of the rhetoric leads to political violence. And it's wild because we know, I know for a fact that the rhetoric isn't going to be lowered. It's going up already.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if there is an attempt to lower the rhetoric or I don't think there will be. And so I don't know. Is there, what is next? And I guess I'll ask both of you all before we close. What should, as communities, what should we be doing? What do we think is next? Do we think even, our programs like ours or organization like ours, once you start going after the HBCUs and the colleges, are we going to come under attack for the work or the commentary that we do? What do we think our next steps as a community should be? I'll start with you, Miracle.
I believe that if we're going to get rid of political violence, then we should use violence. We should use politics to stop violence, not violence. And so I think, one, reach out to Pittsburgh City Council, demand that they support inclusionary zoning. 2, reach out to your congressional representative, demand they sign on to Block the Bombs Act, boycott the UAE because they are supporting the genocide in Sudan, demand and support a ceasefire in Congo. So please, if you can, do not get the new iPhone. Tell T-Mobile, tell Apple that you do not want the iPhone until the genocide in Congo stops. Those are some of the things that you can do, and just show up for each other. There are a lot of people who are really fearful of what this means. Volunteer with Casa San Jose. You can come volunteer with us. Go out to, the mosque and show people love. Go out to different religious places and show people love and support. Just show up, engage, have conversations, be around people.
Right.
I think that's some of the things that you can do to just reject violence and just reject the division that people try to lay at our feet.
That's just a great point. And again, as somebody new iPhone don't even look all that, man. Ain't no need to get the new iPhone. They ain't make no many upgrades, man. Leave that in the box. Leave that in the store. My brother Farouk.
Man, I wish I did have an answer. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe integration wasn't the key. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know at this point in my life, bro.
I mean, I understand that. And I think that is understandable to say, like, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, but I think what I would say this. I like what you said, Miracle, in terms of, like, you know, look around your communities and see, you know, we were on America's Black Forum and we got people who didn't know about us and wanted, hey, man, can One Hood come here? And we would like to see that work in our communities. You can begin to do that work in your communities, but it's not like the world's not going to change with, you know, what's that quote where it's saying, like, it's really like the, I don't know, that might have been Martin Luther King, like the people who do nothing, you know, in the face of tyranny is like the good person who does nothing. So I would say do something. One of the things that we have actually coming up is a fundraiser for a program that is part of our organization, CRIP, at Ruger's Pub. This is going to be September 19th. So next Friday, if you want to support an organization that's in the streets, feeding people, helping the least of these, you know, CRIP is that organization, Community Care Resistance in Pittsburgh. You can help support that work as well. With that being said, do we have any final words?
Let us manifest high-speed rail.
It was a video where, like, it's in Japan and they're watching, like, the high-speed rail.
The new train.
Yeah,
the new one. Yeah,
it goes
310 miles an hour.
Like,
Yeah.
whoa!
Good.
And it was just quiet, and I saw that video and I was like, damn, this miracle. Yep.
It is.
I'm about to take that train soon.
Me too.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, me too. Come
Let's
on,
go.
brother. Come on,
Let's go.
come on.
If we get Miracle out, we can film from Japan.
Oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Let me go use this card right quick.
Yeah.
Let me just go use.
Please do not use that card.
Let me swipe.
Please do not that
swipe,
card.
swipe. My mental health.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, but I would say again, like, for us, you know, One Hood, the concept was always our unity is our power. Together, we're powerful. Together, working together, we are one. And being on one accord. And so that's the work that we're going to continue to do. Thank y'all for watching us, listening to us. If you want to email us, info@onehood.org. That's info@1hood. I'm sorry. Yeah, info@1hood.org. Or if you want to get any One Hood merchandise, you can go to onehood.org. That's onehood.org and get some One Hood merchandise. Until then, peace, y'all. One Hood.